Welcome everyone and welcome Dr. Staiou. We are happy to have you here on IEEE Yaşar Üniversitesi Women in Engineering webinar. I'm Eylül Abbak. I'm the Vice Chairwoman of Yaşar Üniversitesi IEEE Women in Engineering. And can you briefly introduce yourself?
Let me first thank you, the Women in Engineering, let's say, Yaşar branch of IEEE, for the invitation to participate in this really interesting and innovative, let me say, webinar. I was really pleasantly surprised by your invitation. So thank you for inviting me to participate in your coffee clutch. And let me introduce myself as you asked me. I am Efthymia Staiou. I'm a lecturer in the Industrial Engineering Department of Yaşar University. I have been teaching in Yaşar University for the last 8 years. And let me also briefly mention my studies. I have a diploma in mechanical engineering, which is equivalent to a master's degree in mechanical engineering. I have a master's degree also in operations management from the University of Manchester, and a PhD on quality management and in software development from the University of Macedonia in Thessaloniki. It's a business, let's say, school in Greece. My first diploma, I forgot to mention, my mechanical engineering, let's say, studies were done in Aristotle's University in Thessaloniki, also in Greece. Are these information enough?
Yeah, can you inform us about your area of expertise in Yaşar University?
My area of expertise is focused, let's say, on quality assurance and reliability, also in quality management systems. Therefore, I was teaching quality assurance and statistical process control in our third-year students in Industrial Engineering Department. Also, recently, I have been working on entrepreneurship and innovation management issues. Therefore, I'm also engaged in courses which have to do with entrepreneurship and innovation management. What else I could add? My research, let's say, interests also lie on industry and academia collaboration, and also in sustainability issues, which are, let's say, tightly connected with engineering.
Okay, thank you. Can you tell us how did you decide to have an academic career and your process of undergraduate study, master's degree, and PhD programs?
An interesting question. Graduating from mechanical engineering, I always believed that engineering studies are really nicely combined with management studies. Therefore, I decided to pursue a master's degree on a topic which was not related to engineering. So I chose operations management, which is a more managerial, let's say, thematic, a more managerial, let's say, field, to combine my engineering studies with management studies. After my master's degree, I went back to Greece and I started working. And the PhD, let's say, the PhD studies was something that came out of my working experience. I was working on quality management, as I said before, systems, and a software company who wanted to develop a quality management system for their software development applications. They were collaborating with the Ministry of Development, and they participated in a research program where a PhD student, a company, and as I said before, the Ministry of Technology and Development in Greece were collaborating to implement PhD programs on applied science. Therefore, because of my master's degree, I decided to continue with a PhD on the same, let's say, on the same field of quality management and quality assurance. Later on, when I moved to Izmir for family reasons, I found Yaşar University as the perfect opportunity for me to work in a country in a country without knowing, let's say, or without speaking the native language. Since we are an English-speaking and English-teaching university, I had an opportunity to use my PhD degree and enter, let's say, the world of academia. I had also teaching experience from my years in Greece, where I was part-time teaching in a mechanical engineering department. In parallel with my job in the software company that I mentioned before. Therefore, it was the perfect, let's say, combination. Finding a job in Turkey without speaking the national language. So
okay, thank you. You already mentioned a little bit, but what is the reason that you continued your academic education in areas like operations management and quality management instead of continuing in mechanical engineering?
As I said before, the combination of management studies with engineering is always a good idea. Engineers, in many cases, they are filling in managerial positions. Although we study engineering, when we are, let's say, employed, when we find our first job, our bosses are let's say, appreciating the knowledge and the skills that we have acquired during our engineering studies, and they are assigning us managerial positions. So having a degree or continuing with your master's, let's say, studies in management sciences is always helpful and works complementary with your engineering studies. Let me also say that in many engineering departments, we are offering students managerial, let's say, courses in management or courses in economics, which are, as I said, working in a very nice combination with the engineering knowledge and the engineering skills that you are developing in the university.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on with the next question. As you mentioned, you hold a MSc from the University of Manchester in UK. What are the most important criteria for a student who wants to get a master's degree abroad, specifically in the United Kingdom?
Of course, excellence in the language. I mean, a student who wants to study abroad or pursue master's, let's say, studies in a foreign university, not only in UK, but also in universities which are, let's say, using English language as a medium of teaching. An excellent skill of English language is, let's say, really important. Nowadays, I would also say that students need to invest during their undergraduate studies and try to achieve a higher a higher level of knowledge and a higher level of GPA. Unfortunately, the knowledge that you acquired during your studies is reflected to a number, and therefore your GPA is playing an important role. So for getting accepted in universities abroad, a higher GPA and, as I said before, good language skills are compulsory these days, since you need to compete. All students need to compete in a very competitive environment. Many students are seeking master studies, therefore you need to find ways to differentiate yourselves. Also, CVs which are showing that the student has small working experiences. Of course, when you study, you cannot have a long working experience, but still internships conducted during your summers are adding to your CVs, and this kind of extra pluses, let's say, are considered to be important when a university is evaluating your application for master studies.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any advice for the students who want to have an academic career?
An academic career, it's always a challenging career. So you need to invest many years in studies. First a master's degree, then a PhD, and which needs a lot of effort and a lot of years of studying. The combining your studies and the knowledge that you are going to acquire through these long year, let's say, studies with practical experience is always something useful in academia also. So besides the theoretical studies that all of us need to take in order to achieve and acquire at the end of our studies a PhD, let's say, title, which is necessary for academia, practical experience is always very useful. So this practical experience, how can someone acquire it? Maybe by running or conducting projects with in collaboration with industrial, let's say, partners, or participating in projects with other European organizations under European programs. These kind of experiences are always enriching the knowledge that an academician needs to be successful. So not only theoretical studies, but also practical experiences from real life, let's say, applications. That would be my advice for those of you who want to pursue an academic career, as you said.
Thank you. Let's move on with the next question. In the past, you have worked in both public and private sector in Greece. Can you tell us about the areas in which you worked and the descriptions of the jobs you had?
When I was working in the private sector in Greece, I worked in the field of quality management. So I worked a few years as a consultant in developing quality management systems. And further on, I continued, let's say, my career in the private sector in the software company in which as I said, worked when I was developing, when I was doing my PhD. So I was one of the few people that I know that were working on the same field that their PhD was conducted in. So I almost stayed there for 10 years of my career. It was a really interesting experience. applying the theoretical knowledge that I acquired from through my PhD studies in a software company, helping them develop their quality management system and improve the quality of the software that they were developing. It was really something interesting and challenging. So I really enjoyed those years in the private sector. Later on, I shifted and I continued my, let's say, career in the public sector in Greece in a managerial position. I was the general manager, the general director, let me put it that way, of the Regional Development Fund of the region of Central Macedonia in Thessaloniki, managing European funds which were let's say, which were supporting infrastructure works in the region of Central Macedonia. Also, at the same time, we were dealing with the same organization that I worked in was dealing with all the European projects that the region was participating in topics which had to do with regional development. It was a very interesting experience as I said before, in a managerial position, seeing how structural funds supported by the European Union can be used in the national, let's say, level for development projects. It was, as I said before, it was challenging. Of course, the private sector and the public sector, they are two completely different areas of work. Let me say that I much preferred the private sector in my let's say, in my life. I always preferred the private sector in my life, but having, let's say, having worked for the public sector, I realized the importance of public services in developing areas of, let's say, public administration and contributing to the public, let's say, to the public's well-being.
Thank you. I have a similar question. What are the advantages and disadvantages of working in the sector compared to having an academic career?
Academia is really interesting. I like it. I love it, I can say. The interaction with the young people like you, trying to help young people not only learn statistics or engineering, let's say, courses, but helping them develop as individuals. So both the private and public sector, or a career, let's say, in the public and private sector are interesting, but also academia. I don't believe that there are pluses and minuses. Pluses and minuses comparing each other. Pluses and minuses exist in all professions. But as I said, academia is a very interesting field of work, and I see only pluses right now, to tell you the truth. I don't see any minuses.
Okay.
There are so many things that you can do. It's not only teaching. There are research projects that we are engaged. There is let's say, the field of developing new ideas and trying to publish them through, let's say, papers and in journals, trying to build up a little bit, on the knowledge which is accumulating in the world. Being in academia, you have the opportunity to develop things, to do new things. Besides the teaching, let's say, the teaching part of our profession, research is also a very interesting and challenging part of our job.
Thank you. We know that a lot of women face inequalities in their careers. Have you ever come across an inequality towards women in the work environment that you have been into? And if not, what was your work environment like regarding gender equality?
I was lucky, I can say, and during my let's say years of employment, I haven't faced any inequalities personally. Of course, the gender equality issue is something which exists. European Union puts a lot of emphasis and tries to let's say enforce by laws gender equality. There are specific programs which are targeting gender equality and putting and taking, let's say, measures against gender inequality. The problem, though, still exists, and we can see around us that there are areas, there are sectors where genders are not equally treated. The pay gap, for example, exists between salaries that women are receiving and salaries that men are receiving. Even in cities like London, in UK, that you mentioned earlier, the gender pay gap is the largest in UK, in a city like London. The path to leadership is for women is too slow. It's like women are going up the stairs, and while, let's say, men are taking the electric elevators or the escalators. There is what we call the glass ceiling. Women can climb up the ladder up to a specific point, and further on, they cannot continue. There are barriers. I recently read somewhere that in the Financial Times Stock Exchange 100 top companies, it is more likely that the name of the CEO is John than that the CEO is a woman. That gives you an example of how real the problem of gender inequality is. There are barriers. I was lucky, as I said before, and I served into positions where my gender was did not influence, let's say, my selection cases. When I worked for the software company that I mentioned before, I was reporting directly to the CEO of the company. As a quality manager, I was participating in the board of directors. And the fact that I was a female did not influence my selection in these positions. But this is not always the case. And we can see it around us. Women in research, for example, are less than men researchers. Women in the patent, let's say, world, inventors are more men than women. The inventors, let's say, the researchers who have patented their research. There is a major issue of inequality there. How come most inventors are men and not women? Why is this, let's say, inequality in this kind of let's say, numbers which are all around us.
Yes, thank you for your answer. I completely agree, and we have a similar question about this topic. What do you think is the reason that the number of female entrepreneurs is less than the number of male entrepreneurs?
Yes, it's exactly the continuation of the story that we started discussing. It's most probably it has also to do with the way that we are brought up. Even women in engineering. I know that in our department in industrial engineering, let's say male and female students are almost balanced. In some cases, in some years, we might have more female students than male, but industrial engineering is an exception, let's say, in the engineering department. When I was studying mechanical engineering in Greece, of course, it was ages ago, out of 140 men, we were 11 ladies, 11, let's say, girls, and we were a success number. The previous year had just 6, and the year before that it had just 3. We were the first year with so many women in mechanical engineering, I'm sorry. Of course, numbers are changing and years are passing by, and women in engineering are increasing in Greece and also in Turkey and all over Europe. But how come women in engineering is a minority? Does it have to do with the way that our families are bringing us up? Does it have to do with the way that the teachers in our schools are treating us? Why? There is always a question. Why women are, let's say, represented in professions like these, like engineering, like sciences in general, medicine also? How many women judges do you know? How many women astronauts do you know? How come women are less represented in many professions? It has to do with education, I believe, and the way that we are growing up. There are campaigns running around us nowadays, enforcing, let's say, not enforcing, inspiring women in STEM education.
Yes,
You mentioned entrepreneurship. You mentioned entrepreneurship just before. One of the best examples that I use in my entrepreneurship classes as a case study is an example of 2 girls from MIT and California Tech University that they met during their master degree in University of Stanford, and started a new enterprise, a startup, let's say, an entrepreneurial venture, a new venture, producing toys that will inspire women, girls first, in STEM education. And one of them studied electrical engineering, the other one studied mechanical engineering. They met, as I said before, during their master's studies in Stanford University, and they were shocked by the fact that there were no women around them. And they started asking other women, why we are so few in engineering, and what made them choose engineering as a profession. And they came up with an idea, a brilliant idea, because their company has become really successful, that toys can inspire children in order to develop STEM skills, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, let's say, skills. So the toy that they, let's say, designed is a dollhouse which can be constructed, let's say, constructed by very young in age children. The children can, not only the girls, because boys also play with it, okay? They can incorporate circuits and make, let's say, the houses or the airplanes that they build or the playgrounds that they build. They can use these circuits in order to add movement and motion to whatever they develop. And by playing, understanding that they have the skills. Everyone has the skills. Boys and girls have the same skills. And if you train them, if you educate them, if you cultivate your skills accordingly, then yes, you can become an engineer. Girls can become astronauts. Girls can do anything that they want. There is a campaign that Barbie is advertising lately, and not only Barbie, you know, the famous Mattel toys company, with a slogan which says, you can be anything, addressing girls. And I will, let's say, invite you to share with us a different campaign of the same, let's say, company, which is targeting to minimize the gap which exists between girls and their potential. So, Eylül, share with us.
Yeah, we have a video we want to show as an example in the topic that how can we inspire girls and young women to follow their interests in a career in engineering and science. So I will share my screen now.
Thank you. And although we are in a coffee clutch, let me enjoy my tea as we watch the video.
Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, it's loading up.
Okay. So I'm starting the video.
The voice is not working, Eylül. We cannot hear the voice.
Okay, then maybe we can read the subtitles if there's a problem with sound.
Can you try again? Let's see if we can streamline.
Okay, let me try.
Maybe if you take your microphone out, maybe we can hear from the speaker of your laptop.
Okay.
No, it's not working. It's not working, but let me brief you in on what the Dream Gap is about. And let's invite also the audience later on to follow the link. Maybe you can share the link in the comments side, and then they can see it on their own time. Eylül. Can you hear me, Eylül? No, we lost your voice.
Wait a minute.
Okay, now we can, yeah.
Maybe now it will work. Let's try
Okay,
again.
let's try again.
Let's talk about the dream gap. What's that? It's the gap that comes between girls and their full potential. You see, starting at age 5, girls stop believing they can be presidents, scientists, astronauts, big thinkers, engineers, CEOs, and the list goes on. Why? Because what else are we going to believe? When we are 3 times less likely to be given a science-related toy. That's sad. And when our parents are twice as likely to Google, is my son gifted? Then is my daughter gifted? That's not cool. We need to see brilliant women being brilliant and see how they got to where they are. To imagine ourselves doing what they do. But we can't do it alone. Moms, dads, brothers, and bosses. We need all of you to help. We need to close the dream gap. It's up to all of us.
So as we saw in the video, it's a gap. There is a gap between what girls are today and what girls can be in the future. And an important role there is the role models. So we need role models. We need to see brilliant women, as they said, being brilliant and see how they got where they are today. So good examples are always going to help. And families and education, teachers will play a very important role in bridging the gap. Barbie and Mattel is not the only company, trying to inspire women in and making them, let's say, believe in their abilities. Nike also has a similar campaign, which has the slogan of what girls are made of, in order to inspire girls to believe in more, that girls can also do anything. Also, the European Commission has a campaign, Break the Glass Ceiling, that I mentioned. The title of the campaign is Break the Glass Ceiling, as I mentioned before. There is a Horizon 2020 program, a European program, which is dedicated to gender equality, and with the title Science with and for Society. So the European Union is also investing in developing gender equality plans, because there is a gap, there is a problem. And as I said, families are playing a really important role. In the example of the entrepreneurship, let's say, a startup that I mentioned earlier, the father of the first, let's say, founder, the first lady that founded Ruminate, gave her as a present when she was a young girl, when she was at an age that she didn't understand what engineering is about, what the word means. He gave her as a present a saw, and with that saw, Alice, the name of the girl was Alice. She built up her own toys, and the other girl, Bettina, she was playing with her brother with his Lego toys, building up stuff. Because we do like, I as a girl, I love to play with Legos. So when the girls are given the opportunity, and when the families, let's say, which are growing up, these girls believe in their abilities and what they can do in their lives, then girls develop. You are in engineering. You are in an engineering school. I'm sure that your family supported your choice.
Yes, I also think that the toys that Ruminate made are very beneficial, because it allows kids to build or design things like engineers, like from the ground, and maybe that will inspire them for their future careers.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Every girl can become a designer, an architect, an engineer. The only let's say thing that keeps us back is the belief that we are different. No, we are not different. We can be as good as boys in many professions. So yes, a girl can become a sports trainer, a coach. She can become a judge. She can become an engineer, a CEO, as the girl in the video that we just saw was talking about. So what happens when the girls are free to imagine that they can be anything? What happens? Just imagine the possibilities that girls have in front of them. They can become everything.
Thank you. Now I want to check the questions from the chat. Selin has a question. Can you explain some of the projects of Yaşar University European Union Research Center?
Yes, of course. Let me start by mentioning a project that I'm not directly related with, but it is about gender equality. Kaliper is the name of the project. Gökay Hoca from International Relations is the project coordinator. It's a project about linking research and innovation for gender equality. So it's a Horizon 2020 project under the specific, let's say, program of for science with and for society that I mentioned before, that the European Union has launched for supporting, let's say, gender equality. That program, that project, Kaliper, is, let's say, a collaboration of 9 partners, 7 academic institutions and 2 non-academic institutions, if I remember correctly, developing gender equality plans for increasing the number of female researchers in STEM, which is exactly related with what we are discussing today. I am also engaged in several other European projects under Yaşar University's umbrella. One of them has to do with employability. The project's name is Employ. It's an online mentoring platform that is supporting, let's say, the employability of young people who are having difficulty in entering the labor market. Employ has developed an e-hub where young people can reach, let's say, continuous, qualified, and free mentorship services by just enrolling on creating an account on the hub and asking for guidance from the mentors, which are also participating in the platform. The platform also offers material like courses where young people can take, let's say, can follow these courses in order to develop their employability skills. Employability skills are really important, soft employability skills, we call them, compared to your hard, let's say, employability skills, which have to do with your degrees or the training or the education, the seminars that you are getting. Soft employability skills are very important, and students, graduates who want to easily, let's say, find a job, they need to invest also in skills like communication, either verbal or non-verbal communication skills, like public speaking and presentation skills, like teamwork, how to work in a team and collaborate with peers in order to achieve a specific, let's say, goal given, problem solving capabilities, time management skills, self-management skills, reliability and responsibility or adaptability as soft skills also. These are skills which are necessary And these are skills that employers are seeking in young graduates when they're evaluating them for a position, let's say for a hiring position. Let me also mention another European project that I am coordinating. The name is DigiYouth. It has to do with digital youth work tools for helping young people develop their skills and their knowledge through digital ways. During COVID, all of us passed in overnight almost into the digital communication era. And we use tools like Zoom or like YouTube or so many other, let's say, communication and collaboration tools online for developing either our knowledge or passing our time, for entertainment, for building up, as I said before, different skills which will improve us and make us, let's say, better prepared for the professional world. So DigiYouth is another, let's say, European project that is run under Yaşar University in collaboration with 4 other partners from European countries like Greece, Slovakia, Bulgaria. So we as a university are really active and engaged in many European projects.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have a question from Edith. Which areas of industrial engineering are fast growing and will be in demand in the future?
A fast-growing area of industrial engineering. The first thing that came to my mind is Industry 4.0. Combining again technology with and optimization for improving performance, either in an industrial environment or even in a service sector environment. Optimization, I can say, is a field that will have always had in the past also, not only nowadays, but also will have great potential in the future also. Combining now technology with optimization, all these, let's say, technologies that fall under the umbrella of Industry 4.0 is also something that I can say that in the future will be really popular, let me put it that way.
Okay, thank you. We have a question from Arif Can. Hi, Dr. Staiou. Do you think market experience is required for academics? He asks.
Market experience is required for academics. I mentioned it also before. I believe that it is valuable. It is not required, but it is valuable. It's something which contributes to the offerings. I mean, to what an academician has to offer to his or her students. When you have market experience, you can connect better you can connect better the theoretical knowledge with the practical applications of this knowledge, and this is always a plus. That's why universities nowadays invest so much in the industry-academia collaboration. We are offering courses to our students where they can collaborate with an industrial, let's say, partner, a real company, to solve a real problem, a real life problem. Why do we do that? Because we want to prepare them better for their professional lives. So yes, a market experience is always valuable in academia also.
Okay, thank you. We have a question from Nalan Hoca. Thanks, Effie, for this great talk. How do you describe the interest of young women to management and engineering area? Is it different in Turkey and in Europe?
I don't believe that Turkey differs from Europe that much. At least from the Europe that I have seen. I haven't lived in Northern European countries, but from my experience in United Kingdom and in Greece, I can say that women in engineering and managerial positions in both in Turkey and in Greece and UK are kind of, let's say, similar. As I said, it's a really nice combination. Management and engineering studies go hand in hand, and they complement each other, and that therefore they're always very, very useful. Now, women in managerial positions, there are not that many in all these countries. We need to try and to improve the opportunities, let's say, that are offered to women, and especially in higher managerial positions. It's a long journey. It cannot happen, I'm afraid, overnight. But as I said, the European Union is really has put in it as a priority and is working in that direction.
Okay, thank you. We have a question from Benur. Industrial engineering is seen as a profession that has no equivalent abroad. So do you think this is true, or is there a sector for industrial engineers outside of Turkey?
Of course, there is a sector. Of course, there is a sector of industrial engineers. I mean, for industrial engineers. Industrial engineering falls under the umbrella of mechanical engineering in many European countries. Industrial engineering might not exist in Europe as a separate department, but just give me a second. It might not exist as a separate department as it is in United States. You can find in United States, you can find industrial engineering departments in universities. In Europe, they are found as special, let's say, sectors under the mechanical engineering umbrella. It's the same with energy systems also in Europe. So you don't find energy systems as a specific, let's say, department, but they are a specific, let's say, division, a specific sector under mechanical engineering. On a professional basis, of course, there is a space for industrial engineers in Europe. In whichever, let's say, country an industrial sector exists, there is also area for industrial engineers to work in. Industrial engineers also can be, let's say, employed under service sector companies only. Also, it's not just industrial, let's say, companies that can employ industrial engineers. So there is a huge space for industrial engineers out there. It's a profession
she also asked that, does Turkey have more job opportunities in industrial engineering compared to other countries?
From my small, let's say, experience in Turkey, as I said before, I'm here for the last 8 years. I can say that yes, Turkey has a lot of employment opportunities for young people also in the field of industrial engineering. I'm judging from my students, the graduated, let's say, students. A lot of them, many of them, I'm not sure about the percentages, of course, but I see my graduated students finding jobs in September. They graduate in June, and by September they have already found jobs in the area of Izmir. Also, look around us. Izmir has 4 or more, even more than 4 industrial zones surrounding it, with so many international companies and national companies also filling them up. There are many job opportunities in Turkey and in Izmir region that I have a little bit, let's say, a better picture of. I haven't been in a different city in Turkey, so I cannot speak about the general, let's say, situation in the country. But as I said before, judging from from the students that have graduated our department and from the companies that I have collaborated with during the last years in several projects, I see that yes, there are job opportunities for industrial engineers in the area, many. So be optimistic. Be optimistic and try to improve, as I said before, your employability skills.
Yeah, I believe we already answered Jaran's question about soft skills that we need. You mentioned some soft skills for a graduate might need. So we can check the next question, which is from Işıl. What are the most important languages to learn for industrial engineers besides English?
Let me start from English. We are a university educating all our students, not all. There are some faculties that have also Turkish as their, let's say, language of teaching. But we are educating engineers, let's say, in our faculty in the English language. So I would say that the first goal that engineering students should have is to improve and perfect, excel in their language, English skills. Of course, more than one foreign languages are always useful. It depends on the country, on the market that someone wants to, let's say, work in or study in. So for engineers that want to continue their, let's say, postgraduate studies in Germany, for example, German might be a very valuable second foreign language. For people who might be professionally, let's say, interested in the markets of Russia or China, which are, let's say, growing markets with a lot of opportunities and big potential, Chinese or Russian or even Japanese could be a foreign language that students, that graduates can, let's say, invest in. It depends. It depends on as I said before, the market that someone wants to enter, and the sector that he also or she wants to enter. Spanish, for example, is the third most spoken language in the world after Chinese and English. So for someone who wants to invest in one language only, I would say that invest in English and try to improve not only your reading and writing skills, but also your speaking skills, because in a professional, let's say, environment, collaboration with either customers or suppliers abroad mainly will run over English language.
Okay, thank you. I think that was all of our questions. Thank you for all students who attend our webinar and all who ask questions from the chat. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank them also.
Yeah.
And Nalan Hoca for supporting an initiative like yours, Women in Engineering of IEEE. Special thanks to Nalan Hoca for also in including me in the speakers, let's say, list of your webinars.
Thank you. So we can finish our webinar now. Again, thank you everyone who attended, and Dr. Efthymia Staiou.
Wishing everybody a pleasant evening. Best wishes for health and safety during the difficult coming days. Best wishes for a nice semester also to all of us.